Tonight we have a very special guest, Ena Jones, and Ena is the proprietor of Roots and Vine.
Produce and
Cafe.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I was so excited to meet with you like we did over the Zoom and hear about the work that you're doing. Because as you know, family, we need grocery stores.
Yes.
And that's what Ena is all about. Putting up as many grocery stores as she can in the Chicago area and
our goal is the Midwest and the South.
Okay.
You know, to put one in every zip code throughout the Midwest and the South. So
absolutely.
It's an ambitious plan, but
yes,
I'm sure we can do it.
It's doable.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Yeah.
That's why you put it out there. Because that's something we used to have our own grocery stores in our communities. We had basically all of our own establishments in our communities, and we've lost touch with that.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we see is a need, and we have people like Ena out here doing that. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But as you know, we are a nonprofit organization here at Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities. We bring this podcast, Behind Black Business, every week because we want to feature the many wonderful people that we have in our communities who are working to make a difference. One of the biggest problems we have is we're not connecting. And but we got a lot of people out here doing some great work. And we want to bring that to you, especially in the area of business. And the reason our organization focused on business, as I tell you every week, our businesses have the opportunity to help us circulate that dollar in our community. And that's what's not happening. The dollar is not being circulated like it is when you compare the Black community to the Asian community, to the Arab community, to the Jewish community, to the Italian community. And now we have other communities, Ukrainian village and so many others that are here in Chicago, and they're circulating those dollars. And when you have a business, the business can hire people from the community. The business can give other entrepreneurs an opportunity to put their products in our community, in their stores, and they serve as mentors. So when we come in, or our children come in, and they see that you own this establishment and you run this establishment, and the power that you have is very inspiring. And so that is why our businesses are so important, and why it's so important for us to know about our businesses and support them. And that is why we started Repair, Restore, and Grow Black Communities.
Okay.
And so we have helped some businesses get websites, and we're great proponents of our bookstores.
Okay.
Because that's where our knowledge is. And as we know, many of our books are being written off, banned, not wanting to talk about it, the information that's in there because of the race theory phenomenon that's out here right now. But we can't afford to let that happen, because while what happened to us during slavery happened, a lot of the vestiges of that we still experience today.
Yeah.
It just hasn't stopped. And we deserve and need to know as a people our history, and so does everyone else, our perspectives on what's going on right now. And that's why our books are very important. And we support our bookstores by putting a book up on our website every month. We feature a Black book, and the bookstore for this month is The Book Joint. They're located at 330 East 51st Street. And they're open on Fridays and Saturdays, and they have an online bookstore as well as a brick and mortar. So that's thebookjoint.com. And then we go a step further, and we have them to select the book of the month, and one of our lucky subscribers has an opportunity to win that book. And all you have to do is subscribe to rrgbc.org. And the book for this month is Black AF History, Unwhitewashed Story of America by Michael Harriot. So if you want to win that book, all you have to do is go to our website and subscribe. We pay for the book. We prefer that you visit the book joint and see all of the wonderful books that they have for children and adults and some of the other items that they offer in their establishment. But if you do not want to visit or are unable to visit, we will pay to have that book shipped to you at our expense. So that's how important we feel it is to support our bookstores. And we ask you to go to change.bookstore at change.org, Save Black Bookstore Chicago at change.org, and sign our petition. That's Save Black Bookstores Chicago at change.org, and sign our petition. We want our local libraries and our local schools to give contracts to our bookstores. Right now, there are major publishing companies that have those contracts with the schools, and that needs to be shared. So we're asking you to do that. And then finally, the Southside Community Federal Credit Union, which is how we met.
Yes.
Greg Brown had a wonderful Zoom meeting to talk about what's going on financially here in our communities. They're a Southside bank that has been giving loans to people, many people who weren't able to go into some of our major banks and get loans. While you have deposits there, you know that your deposits are what keep those banks afloat. That's how they create money. They use your money. And we're depositing our monies into banks who also are not giving back. But the Southside Community Credit Union has been giving mortgage loans, car loans, personal loans every Saturday. Financial literacy classes. Matter of fact, one of the young men that was on the Zoom had benefited from that. He said his credit was bad. The Southside Community Credit Union helped him, and now he's running multiple businesses, providing multiple streams of income for himself and his family. And so Greg Brown and the work that he's doing over there, we should at least open up a savings or a checking account at that bank and support them. They're located at Wentworth and right there at 55th and Wentworth. They're right there at the expressway in that shopping mall. Pay them a visit, open up an account, support the Southside Community Federal Credit Union. Okay? All right, so let's get to our interview with Ena. Ena, here again, family, is the proprietor of Roots and Vine Produce and Cafe.
Yes.
All right. And Lena, I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, who you are, and how you came upon this mission, and what your mission is.
Okay, well, I am a lifelong Chicagoan. I grew up on the West Side, and I grew up in Inglewood, where our first location will be on the corner of 6600 South Sangamon. Mm-hmm. And we actually just bought a second location on 79th and Stony Island, right next to the Regal. So prayerfully, we'll have 2 locations up this year.
Okay, so both of those are like in the Chicago South Side.
Yep, Chicago South Side area. And I'm also the founding director of Green Table Talks and the president of Community Partners for Black Farmers. So we connect a lot of farmers across the country with our business, and they grow for us, and mm-hmm. we also help them with distribution in other stores. So I'm partner in a trucking company and a meat company. So we control our own meat and control our own produce to a certain extent, and help them create consumer packaged goods. So
how are the Black farmers doing? As far as being able to getting their products into different stores?
Well, it's becoming it's a growing industry now. Really, mm-hmm. When I've been working in this about 10 years, it was definitely a struggle, and a lot of farmers still struggle to create consumer packaged goods on a on a grand level or on a mass level, because they don't have the capacity to get service from a co-packing facility. So a lot of them are still home-based business, homegrown business, and they have the capacity to do farmers markets, but not supply a full service store. Okay. But they it's still a struggle for a lot of the farmers, and a lot of them are getting their feet and trying to get on board with a lot of the new things that are coming around. And then there's a lot of opportunities, but they struggle to find the services that they need for like grant writers and things like that, that'll help technical assistance for them to be able to take advantage of some of these programs out here. Because many of our real producers are elderly. And so they're not computer savvy, they're not tech savvy, and then they don't know about a lot of the opportunities that are out.
Are young people showing an interest in this industry?
Yeah, a lot of them are showing interest in farming, but more on the lines of urban farming. And a lot of them are doing homesteads, which is a lot different than farming. So a homestead is you grow maybe a little more than what your family needs, but not enough to supply like a grocery store or something like that. So, and you live on the farm. So a lot of people are doing homesteading, but real row crop farmers, ranchers, the industry is growing a little bit, but it's not, it's the younger generation still has a ways to go, because they need to see that there's money in farming and not equating it to slavery.
They're equating it to slavery.
Yeah.
And then understanding how to farm, and it is work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of hard work, but it's really, really rewarding, but they don't see the financial many of them don't see the financial reward.
Okay.
Because just the whole historical factor and just the whole vision about how farming equates to slavery. But it is kind of like propaganda, in a sense, because nothing starts without a farmer. There's nothing in this room that didn't start without a farmer.
Okay.
From that radiator to this table to the paint on the walls, nothing started without a farmer. So every industry is being built off of farming. Every industry, not just food. The tile on the floor that comes from clay. Everything starts from a farmer. It just depends on what you're farming. So they take the raw farm goods and they refine it and create a product, create something, create tables, chairs, iron ore, for pots and pans and all of these different things. And we don't see that.
Well, I think one of the things that you mentioned that was key is just like with the farmers, the people who are doing the rudimentary basic farming, being able to get their products out.
Right.
Trying to get it packaged and distributed and advertised. And that's where they can come in and help out to do at that end. But then as these people move along, we have to have somebody to replace them.
Yeah, and that's a struggle too, because it's two aspects to getting your product to market. Okay. One, grocery stores don't make money on grocery.
So what do they make their money
They're
on?
a real estate company. They sell shelf space. They rent shelf space.
Gotcha.
So our farmers, even if they had a product, they can't afford to pay the rent to put their stuff on the shelves, right?
Right.
Because even if it's $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year. And that's the minimum that may give you 1 square foot. So how much product can you put in 1 square foot? Maybe 12 units of a sauce or something like that, 9 units or something like that in a square foot. And then at what cost? 5, 6, 7, at the most maybe $10. So how much of that you have to sell in order to at least just get your rent?
So this is what I think I was trying to explain at our meeting that we had. where when you go into a store, you go into a wall, or whether it's a Walmart or whether it's a Jewel's grocery store, and you look at all of the products that they have, these are a lot of small businesses under one shelf.
Yeah.
And they're all renting out space in your establishment. And I think some people don't understand that.
Yeah, and see, we offer fee-free market placement.
And what does that mean?
They don't have to pay rent.
Okay.
Because we're working directly with the farmer, so that kind of reduces the distribution, fees. Because most of the time when you have 2 to 3 distributors in between the farmer and the end user in the grocery store. So you have the farmer, and then you have a manufacturing facility that, put their costs on their raw good. So say we're making corn chips and we buy, 10 tons of corn from the farmer. Okay. They may be paying the farmer $3 or $4 a bushel for the corn. Okay. Then they go to the manufacturer. The manufacturer processes the corn and he turns it into cornmeal. Okay, so that's an upcharge, that's a cost. Now, here it is, Doritos going to make chips with the cornmeal. So their cost is on it. So that they can make Doritos. They buy the cornmeal, then the next person. So all of these costs are attributed in costs, right? So then after the Doritos are made, they go to a distribution facility. That distribution facility finds places that want to sell the Doritos. You want to sell the product, right? So that's another cost. So that's 4 levels before it even gets to the store level. Okay.
Now, who does the packaging?
The manufacturing company itself, not the cornmeal company, but the chips company. Because once they make the chips, they got to put them in a bag. And then they have to palletize them and all of that. Okay. So then the distribution company say, okay, we got 3 boxes of Doritos that we need to sell. Who is going to, what stores will sell this product that we have, okay? So that's your UNFI, KeyHe, US Foods, and places like that,
And so let me ask you a question. Where do we have industries at in this process?
Exactly. Rarely anywhere.
See, so we still
cottage licensing. We still having cottage food. So a lot of them are still making or using places like the hatchery or using, small manufacturing facilities, or they have a cottage license or do it in a shared kitchen, but they're not creating volume, right? So I have a warehouse in Bridgeport. And so we do product development. We help them in our Future Food Producer program, with my nonprofit, we take them from ideation all the way to maturity. So we help them take their raw material. So if our farmer they're growing tomatoes, they're growing garlic, they're growing peppers, whatever, we help them, my alarm, I'm sorry. We help them they say, well, I want to make my own pasta sauce, right? So we, show them how the product develop the pasta sauce, get the recipe down down. We show them how to source their packaging, do their labels, do their claims and nutrition facts and all of those kind of things, how to properly set up the label, everything, and then how to mass produce the product, or in small batches. And then if once they grow, right now, we're helping them find a co-packing facility, which is a whole other barrier, because once they outgrow their own, light manufacturing, say it blows up and Kroger wants to get 10,000 units. They can make 10,000 small batch units, but that's a lot of labor and it's time consuming and all these different things. They don't properly have the right equipment. So they'll have to find a co-packing facility. And the co-packing facility is going to say, well, we need $1.50 a jar up front.
So now you got to have some money.
Right. So how are they going to pay a co-packing facility so that they can fulfill that order? So they can't do, that's a barrier for them, you know, unless they can get a loan or things like that. So that's our relationship with Southside Community Federal Credit Union with Greg Brown. He gives our farmers micro loans.
This is why it is so important that we're networking. And that we have Black businesses in these different areas. You know, you need your manufacturers. You know, I know from my daughter was trying to make soaps when she was a little girl, and we were looking at, you know, we don't want to keep making these soaps and try to sell them to people, and we looked at the manufacturer. Well, the manufacturer is making most of the money. Just like the people who put their books out on Amazon. Amazon is making most of the money out of the book. You're getting a few pennies. Maybe you think you're offsetting it by maybe having a wider distribution.
And then they limit your distribution. They limit your distribution, you know, because they have, some of the times, they have a no compete, you know, agreement with other, now they may be making soap for Procter and Gamble or Lever or whatever, and say you have a lavender soap. You know, but now all of a sudden Lever wants to come out with a lavender soap, and they have a contract agreement with Lever that say you can't make another lavender soap. So then they'll say lavender soap may be your main product that you sell, but they say, well, we can make everything but lavender.
And this is why we need an umbrella of Black industry, dealing with it all the way from the production of it, the creation of it, to the packaging, to the store, to the distribution,
all the way to the store. And that's what we're working on. So now
there's too many possibilities for conflict of interest. And then you run into challenges. So that's what we're working on now. I actually have site control on a co-packing facility, building to turn into a co-packing facility so that we can help the farmers all the way and not charge them that upfront cost, you know, to create their product in our facility. And then they'll have fee-free shelf placement in our grocery store. So that eliminates a lot of the barriers, because we show them how to produce their product, how to package it, label it, you know, and everything. And then if they're in our network, they can get free placement in our grocery store and distribution. So if you had a farm and you had Miss Denise's ketchup, you know, then that'll be the only ketchup we sell. The only time we'll sell Heinz is if yours isn't available. And I'm sure this is how a lot of the Arabs who own so many of the convenience stores. And
they have a relationship with the Chinese. You know, that's why they have stores full of product, because they can get it on a net 45, a net 60, because they are constant customers. But if we wanted to go and make one of these corner stores, we'd have to go on Alibaba and get it, but it's still at a cost right now, not a cost later. You know, so they can fill their stores up with all this stuff coming from China in our community.
But they're not buying products from us.
They're not buying our stuff, no.
Because I've heard them to say, you know, I can't buy from you. I can't do business with you. I have to do business with my people. This is the reality.
But we don't think like that.
And we're not thinking that way.
And then we don't create industry to where we own our process. We always, at some point, we have to relinquish it to someone else. At some point, we have created an ecosystem where we're working directly with the farmer, and if the farmer wants to create their own product, we help them. And if they don't want to create their own product, our store owns 11 brands of its own. We buy, instead of them getting $3 a bushel from a buying point, we may give them $7, $8, $10 a bushel, because we know that we're cutting out so many other middlemen and we're buying it from them, circumventing all of those people and creating our own brands.
Mm-hmm. Family, we are talking tonight to Ena Jones, who is the proprietor of Roots and Vines Produce Cafe. Her mission is to open up grocery stores here in the Chicago area, and she's very astute in terms of what needs to be done. This is what we're talking about. There are business and job opportunities in doing this, within the Black community using Black people. I know one of the reasons we are running into problems is when we need someone to help us with our business, we're looking at how much are we going to have to pay. Mm-hmm. And what's happening now is people are they would initially would always go to China. If you're getting ready to make something, they're going over to China and let China make it because it's going to be cheaper, and then bring it back here.
And which is dangerous because you once you take an idea to China, you put yourself in jeopardy if you don't have the proper protections that can cost anywhere between $5,000 and $20,000, $40,000 to have a universal protection. And if you don't, China, you'll come back home and you'll be competing with yourself before you can even get it out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I see people going as far as even to the Philippines. You know that they need technological services. Yeah, and these people do it for, almost less than a fraction of the cost of what you would pay people here. So we have to understand finances and how this actually works.
Yeah.
When you're thinking you're saving money over here, are you really saving money?
Right. And the thing is,
are you really protecting your product?
Right. And then you're not, you're really putting it in jeopardy, because the United States was the manufacturing capital of the world. We manufactured everything. Mm-hmm. And it's going to cost what it costs anyway. You're going to pay one or the other in money or time. Because even when you pay for it and you get it from China, it's going to take 2 to 3 months, 6 weeks, 8 weeks for it to get back to you after it's manufactured, and then you still have to buy so much from them. So you're paying in time, and while they making 1 unit of your product, they making 2 for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
And then when yours come over here, there's your product with their name on it coming over here too. Mm-hmm. Because they already have the connection and the distribution of who they're going to send it to. Mm-hmm. While you have to find your end user customer. Mm-hmm. So it's a vicious cycle because you losing time and you losing money, because no matter what you have, it has a shelf life. No matter what you produce, it has a shelf life. Everything has a shelf life, even the paint on the walls. In a minute, that color is not going to be what's popping.
It doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of when I was talking to the owners of Out of the Past Records, and she was telling me how if we didn't have something, she said there were like 10 record stores, and she said we didn't have something at our location, then we would call up another store and ask them if they have it to satisfy the customer. And people don't do that now. They feel like if I call up another Black company, I'm going to lose. But there was a benefit in them doing that.
Yeah.
Just to get the customer satisfied. And obviously, they have relationships with each other.
Yeah.
That they feel comfortable to call up another. I'm on the west side Out of the Pass. I might call Coops over on the south side. You can go get it over there.
Right. And see, that's one of the things that right now, while my store isn't open, our farmers, I'm a certified grocer. And I'm also, for every place that I'm a customer, I'm also a vendor. So when our farmers have something, so say they growing strawberries or watermelon or whatever, I know I can't buy it all. So I send our distributors our vendor list, and so to let our farmers be able to still make a sale and not turn their harvest back over into the ground because they don't have anywhere to sell it.
Now, when they bring produce here, one thing I noticed, you go down Damon, right off of I-57, along there, in the Hispanic communities, they have a lot of storage for produce. And I know the Reverend Sampson is looking for docks where he could put black farmers, produce in, so is that an issue, trying to find places to store?
Well, not for me really, because I still have a warehouse in Bridgeport.
Okay.
And Pastor Sampson been to my warehouse, in Bridgeport, but I share that facility with other people.
Okay.
So I'm working toward getting our own. But most importantly, it's not the storage; it's having somewhere to sell it. Because if you don't have an end user, in a week, it's not going to be for good produce, So you either have to find a place to sell it before it even arrives. Storage is not a good idea. Having distribution sites is a good idea. Having more stores and more locations where people have access to food, that's the best idea, not storage. So because we're not talking canned goods, we're talking fresh produce.
Okay. But now, when you're saying you're going to have a grocery store, is it going to be a produce store?
Oh yeah,
you're going to have a full grocery store.
A full grocery store. We have a full line of grocery, so we can get butter and oat milk and kiwis and strawberries and grits and fish and seafood and whatever. So everything you can get at a major grocery store.
Toothpaste,
everything, just at a smaller footprint. Just on a much smaller footprint. So that's why the warehouse is necessary, so we can distribute from.
And will you primarily be dealing with black-owned businesses, or will we bring other businesses as far as getting it? Friends and family, we had to record this interview into two parts with Ena Jones, the proprietor of Roots and Vines and Produce Cafe. And so here's part two. Thank you. Okay, so in response to the primarily dealing with produce in your store, or
we're dealing with farmers and then other people. So our main focus is farmers. Is to do work with farmers in our network. So if they're a member of our Community Partners for Black Farmers organization, then those are the main people, the main producers for our business. And then outside of, we go for what we need after we exhaust them. Through other outlets. We'll find other outlets for to keep our shelves and everything full, at maximum levels with fresh produce, but we exhaust them before, we go outside of them.
You think they're able to supply, pretty much what you're going to need?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a myth that there are no black farmers out there.
Okay.
But the thing is, when it comes to creating volume for a major retailer, they don't create the volume for a major retailer, but they produce more than enough for my location, to produce for us.
And the meats, all of the well, I'm vegan, so but I'm just asking. I know a lot of people go to some of the other stores, and that's the thing, they are so well stocked. And even like with the I was mentioning the meats, and then there are the vegan products, which is what I would be looking for.
Absolutely. Well, we're still going to have a huge array of over 300 square feet of fresh produce in our store. So, and making options out of there, we'll definitely be conscious of what our community likes to eat and likes to have. So having some vegan options like frozen meals and things like that, we'll still carry those things too, just not in such an abundance outside of real fresh produce.
Now, what about organic? You know, a lot of people like organic produce. They like to buy organic produce. Some people feel like there's really not always a difference in
Most
what
of
the
our
label
farmers
is.
grow organically anyway. They can't afford those chemicals. They can, but they also can't afford to put organic on their labeling.
Okay,
And
okay,
so that's where the costs come in. That they can't
okay,
afford, but most of them grow organically already.
okay. We already grow organically. And so when it's organic, that means you haven't put what kind of
They haven't
items
labeled
on
it
there.
with a lot of pesticides and herbicides and chemicals, you know, throughout the growing process,
Mm-hmm.
in the soil and all those kind of things. So, but most of our farmers don't, they can't afford those chemical laden fertilizers and Roundup to the extent when they're doing real farming, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they'll take a lot and it's expensive.
Oh, and it costs more. And so,
Yeah,
and that cost gets carried over to you.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It get carried over into our health, but most of them don't use those products anyway.
Okay.
They just can't afford the labeling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
I
that's
see.
another secret barrier, you
Okay.
know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Interesting. So, for some of I know there's a lot of Black people that are writing books that are getting into veganism, and selling products. So you will be looking at other companies, Black companies that are selling the vegetarian, the vegan types of items as well.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
we will consider carrying many things,
Mm-hmm.
but our first and foremost distribution comes from farmers in our network.
Okay.
Who are a member of our community partners for Black Farmers Organization, and
Mm-hmm.
that's we advocate for farmers, and that's the space in which we help them be able to produce and create product. Now, if it's a unique product that our community loves and enjoys and will want to have, sure, absolutely, we'll carry it as long as it's, wholesale to us and um, uh, we can make money off of their product because we still have to make money too.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of one of the barriers that I'm running into is a lot of our producers who create products, they don't know how to properly price their product so
Mm-hmm.
that they can wholesale it and then the distribution can actually make money. Because they don't quantify um, the getting it shipped to us or the delivery charges, and for us to put it on our shelves and introduce it to our customers. So they kind of price themselves out of us being able to carry it,
Well,
you
that
know.
goes back to their manufacturing process,
Right.
how they're producing
But
their product
many of
too.
them are processing it in themselves, and they
Mm-hmm.
create, and then they are selling it at a price that they can sell it for.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not reducing the price that it can go through a chain of processes and that everybody can make some money to help them be able to be in more than one location at a time.
So, what are some things that they need to be able to do? Because this is something that I hear a lot. Because we are always trying to get, people to network and put their products in some other establishments, and then we look and it didn't happen.
Most of the time, our producers look at units sold, what they can make off of each unit sold,
Mm-hmm.
not off of how much they need to sell in order to make a profit and what's the
Mm.
lowest cost analysis so that they can get it in more places and have a wholesale cost.
Mm-hmm.
They look at how many units they can sell,
And that's
but they
all
don't
now.
look at, okay, we need for us to profit, profit after all of our expenses and overhead, we need to make $100, a year. We need to make $100. And for us to make $100, we need to sell 25 units.
Okay.
In order for us to profit $100. They don't look at it that way. Most of our producers look at, okay, I made 20 bars of soap. I can sell each bar for $5. And I can make $2.50 off of each bar. They looking at what it'll cost and what it is that they can make, but they're not looking at it in volume. So if you want to stay just a small location and you do all the work and all the heavy lifting, then you make all the money, that's fine. But I can't buy your product if you selling it for $5. I can't buy your product for $5 and sell it for $5.
But there's also that issue of the products that they need to make that soap, because they have to. They can make it straight from. Go with the lab. But there's chemicals.
Well, saying they got to look at their whole overall cost,
right,
and then cost in labor, and then cost, profit in, what the what they can wholesale it for. Now, what you retail it for and what you wholesale it for is two different things. So you want to say, I can wholesale it for this so that the people who selling it can still have room to make money, because we can't sell your product and not make any money.
What's usually the profit margin percentage, between the seller and the business?
It all depends on the product. It all depends on the product. It's not a blanket, cost.
Not a 60-40.
Just like take a bottle of water, for instance. You can get Fiji and you'll pay $3 for a 16-ounce bottle. Or you'll get Glacier water and you'll pay $1. I'm not paying no more than $1 for this Glacier water. But I don't mind paying $3 because the community is common knowledge that you're going to pay $3 for Fiji water. You're just going to pay. So if you want Fiji water, you're going to pay that $3. But if somebody gave you a Glacier bottle of water and commonly that bottle is $1, but they put a $3 price tag on you going to buy it? Right. So then
that happens at the football games. And
there's
stuff
a cap.
That.
Right. So then that the community will cap what you can sell that for. And then now you lose a customer because now you're price gouging. And I need to go to the Arab store and get this bottle of water for $1. Like I've been getting.
So you're gonna, so you'll be very conscious of that, because that's one of the biggest that's the other issue, is the price, the amount. Black people look at how much I have to spend.
Right.
Oh, their products cost too much.
And then too, when we buy a product from a wholesaler, you have to get the lowest cost. The more you buy, the cheaper the price. Right. So if I can only buy, I can't get the lowest price because I don't have enough distribution to max out to where I really can, the community can really save. Right. So I have to buy at this level, but I still need this margin. I still need this 10% margin for me to make money. Because of my overhead, because of this, and because I'm not getting it at the lowest cost that I can possibly get it, because my customers want it, but I don't have the capacity. I'm not turning over enough product for me to buy at the highest level where I can get the deepest discount. At the highest volume. So when customers and so it is. And then they're a smaller store. And a lot of customers, a lot of business owners lose out because they don't have the necessary, they don't have the capacity to get from a distributor who services small. Most distributors don't service mom and pop shops. They don't service really, really small businesses because they can't adequately serve them. They can't pull a 26-foot, a 53-foot trailer, truck to their door. And that's what you got to have in order to get distribution.
So do we have a nice amount of truck drivers out here, black truck drivers?
Yeah, I'm
that
a
are
partner
able
in
to
a trucking
move?
company, and
Okay.
I should send you. I'm not sure if you can show this to your audience. I'm gonna send you the video I was trying to show you guys on.
Well, if you send me that whole video, we'll definitely be able to air that for you. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, and
Yeah. Okay, you don't have to send it to me now.
yeah, and then so I won't forget.
Okay.
And so I'm a partner in a trucking company that helps with our distribution. They have owner operators, and we have our farmer fleet program. So they do our logistics at a flat rate.
So what would be, as we were talking about the pricing, what would be your advice to the average business person out here? That they're having, and I know that's why they're having a problem getting their products into stores, people purchasing them. What would be your advice to them about how they're pricing their products?
Know your numbers. Know your numbers and know how much you need to sell. So if you know you want to profit $100,000 a year, you want a profit after all your expenses, after all your payroll, after all your production costs, after all your raw goods, after your labor expenses, all liabilities, after everything, you want to profit $100,000 a year. How many, you need to ask yourself, how many units of my product do I need to sell retail and wholesale in order to meet that goal, to meet that $100,000 goal? And then you say, okay, it's going to cost me, I got to, everything that we did cost $300,000, right? All of our labor, all of our, raw goods, payroll, everything for this year was $300,000. And we sold however many units, this how many units we sold, and this was the cost, okay? After all your expenses, you may have profited only $50,000 after everything was said and done and over, right? So what do you need to do to make that, increase that to the $100,000 benchmark that you want to make? So it's where you can where can you cut costs? Where can you increase your amount so that instead of you buying your lye and soap supplies and everything, and if you buy it 100 units, they'll tell you, or 100 pounds of soap is the base. If you buy 100 pounds, it's $2. But if you buy 500 pounds, it's $1 a pound. And it's gonna cost you more initially, but now you're able to make more. Profit. Right, and now you're able to make more, be at $1 a pound instead of versus $3 a pound.
And this is where people need income. They need resources. Right. They need money, grant money. Right.
But we got to stop looking for free.
Okay.
That's another problem. Every grant money is good. Grant money is good, but it's not guaranteed. For one, we have to build our models to where the grant money. Even me right now, we went for a grant with the city. Ultimately, we didn't get the grant. But the grant was a reimbursable grant, which means you had to have the money already to get the grant.
Okay.
You had to have the money, and you get reimbursed from the city. Okay. So you have to show the money first.
Okay.
So we have the money to finish our renovations for our first store that we got denied through the city, but for no reason at all. But we won't get reimbursed for that benefit to the community. For the benefit that we're bringing to the community, we won't get reimbursed. Okay. So we're just gonna spend that money to do what we need to do, but grants aren't guaranteed. And then grants can also be very, very competitive. and then you have to meet certain criteria. So if they tell you you got a program and all your kids need to wear blue t-shirts, but your program all your kids wear green shirts, you don't qualify.
So they can be very restrictive,
Yeah,
as well, in terms of what you're trying to do,
right.
or maybe what you might.
And you can almost meet the criteria,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that one barrier that can bring you out of qualifying, and so then what do? You can't depend on that. So that's why we have a relationship with Southside Federal Credit Union and Flanagan State Bank to give and we help our farmers and our members all the way to get loan ready, get financial education, from Greg from Southside Community Federal, and get financially literate and get them ready to build a relationship with a banker, to build a relationship with a lending institution, so that if you get a grant, you won't be so hard pressed that you can't move unless you get that grant. Mm-hmm. That's not realistic.
Okay. And
then it takes so long for grants to come through. You need the money now. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, the time it takes to apply and the application process is like 3 months.
And then and
then they got the review process, and then the award process that may be another 3 or 4 months. So that's almost 9 months, 6 to 9 months, where you are in limbo with your business. So now you're wasting time trying to get something free. You're wasting money, you're losing money.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to
losing money at the same time.
But if you're already functioning and then you apply for those grant opportunities, that's a boost to your business. Mm-hmm. It's not a liability of time or money or resources.
I know some businesses, especially Black businesses, have had difficulties. They're in business already, and then they need maybe something what they call a bridge loan.
Yeah,
to help them. Just having some difficult time here, there, which happens, up and down.
Yeah,
and not being able to get those dollars.
Yeah. And most of the time, because they don't have a relationship with a bank or a lending institution, mm-hmm. so they have to start over from scratch and prove themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what are some of the major challenges that you're having right now, or maybe that you're dealing with right now in terms of what you're going to have to do before you actually get open?
Well, right now I got the capital to finish our first location. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the challenges that we have are bureaucracy, and dealing with the city. So not just with the grant opportunities, but with inspections and time and things like that. They take forever. Mm-hmm. They take 3, 4, 6 weeks to come out for an inspection, mm-hmm. and you're just waiting in limbo. Mm-hmm. So that's and so that's time abusive, and that's a barrier. Then finding good contractors, that's another barrier, because you trust your project to people who say they're capable, and at the end of the day, they aren't capable. So you want to deal with help and support Black contractors, but trying to get Black contractors to give you good service is a huge challenge.
That is something that we really need to hone in on and try to strengthen, because that's a problem maybe you as a business owner have. That's a problem that homeowners have. Absolutely. In terms of trying to get good contractors. And I know some of the contractors, they want to hire our people, but then again, the training, the experience, mm-hmm. knowing to do the job right, and having good work ethic, mm-hmm. coming on the job, finishing the job. It's a lot of all of that in there. And a lot of times, a lot of our contractors, you'll hire a Black contractor, and they'll go subcontract to Latino company,
Mm-hmm.
and you look up and they're the ones that's coming to do the work
Yeah.
because they say they're depending on it.
And then just think of the upcharge you being charged for that. You know, you
Right.
paying them
You're paying them.
to pay somebody else. So they brokering your job.
Right.
You know, so you overpaying.
Yep, that is an area that that we need to work on. And I know how it is working with the city.
Yeah.
I've helped somebody trying to get their preschool back open, and we got caught up into things like the person that was on the project didn't come to work today, or they're not going to be back to work for a week, and your project is city.
Yeah.
The city needs to have some things that they need to work on.
Yeah, because that shouldn't be, and that's one of the things we need to fight for is, to eliminate the bureaucracy of getting things done and stagnating businesses. It should be some kind of protocol in order that, it shouldn't be one person's responsibility. And when that person is out, we just, our business is in jeopardy. Like, because if you got loans, those loans need to be paid.
That's right.
You you have a mortgage, that mortgage needs to be paid. And the grace that I have is that I bought my building. I bought it, my building cash, and I don't have a mortgage. But if I did not, I would really be, in a lot of trouble.
That is so smart of you, not only for in terms of what you're trying to do. Okay, I have my building, but even being able to keep your business.
Right.
Because there are many businesses here in Chicago on the south side and the west side that have been up and running well for decades.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, someone is telling them, you're not going to be able to use this facility anymore.
Yeah.
And has caused them, some people just went out of business as a result of that.
Yeah.
So that's maintaining control.
Yeah.
And over your business.
Yeah.
By owning your property. That should be first, I think.
Exactly. And if you can buy it cash, it's that's the best investment, is to do what you can and have as much equity in your building as you possibly can. Because it helps when in your lending, because if they appraise your building, if you bought a building for $100,000, you put some work in it, and now it's worth $300,000. That's some equity that you have to negotiate with a lender with. Because now you have the opportunity to refinance your building and infuse $100,000 into it, for equipment, working capital, or whatever. But if you don't own it and you are renting, you put money in the bottom.
So that's like looking at every aspect of your business, everything. How is this going to create legs to make more money?
Yeah.
If I have my building. Okay, I can put my business in here. I can have time to do what I need to do. I can maintain my business. I can borrow money off of my building to help me with my business. It's like every step that you make, it needs to be looked at as a way to create more legs to make more money. That's how you got to look at what you do.
Absolutely.
And we too often is just looking at making money.
Yeah, everything got to work double all the time. So we're not just opening up a grocery store, but it's also a cafe. So it's a coffee shop on one side, a grocery store on the other side. So before once we have produce and things that may be, it's not selling well, we can turn it into a product. We can turn it into a soup. We can turn it into a smoothie, a biscuit, a bagel. We can turn it into many different things before it goes to waste. Because we're a grocery store, we can turn it into juice. We can turn it into soup. We can turn it into a frozen meal. We can puree. We can, dehydrate it. We can freeze dry it and turn it into seasoning, and just a lot of different things that we can do with it before it goes to the landfill. And then any scraps that we have, we take them to our farmers and feed the chickens, or feed the livestock or whatever. And it doesn't, so it's near zero waste.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. And I always say when people go to a business, it's a relationship that you're establishing.
Yeah.
Our people are always looking for places to come to, and to congregate and to mingle and talk, and engage
because
with
that's
each other.
people want to know what American culture is.
Mm-hmm.
American culture is the culture of bonding and consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Going out for coffee, going out for ice cream, going out for lunch, brunch, dinner. Bonding and consuming, going to Starbucks, meeting at Starbucks, meeting at that's the American culture. And we miss out on that bonding and consuming and knowing your neighbor when we don't have coffee shops in our community.
Absolutely. And to be able to go into the store and shop and then go over here and get this done and get that done.
It's more than one thing, Everything needs to serve a double duty. No matter what you do, it needs to serve, two purposes.
Absolutely. Well, I am very proud of you and what you're doing. I have no doubt that you're going to be successful because you are definitely focused on what you're doing, and you definitely have the fortitude to get this done, because this is not easy work. But when it's in your heart and it's not work.
Exactly.
It's not. It is work, but it's not work. Because your heart is in it. This is who I am, and this is what I know. This is what I'm here to do. And so now you're dealing with a whole nother person.
And then dealing with the farmers and being able to, because that's our whole tagline, is connecting farmers to people and reconnecting people to real food. So it'll help with the health disparities in our community, help us think about produce and farming in a whole different way in the inner city, in our families, and stop equating to slavery. Because we have so many families that got land, but it's not productive. And we want to encourage the youth in these families to
help them to have a vision on the other side of the people who own those farms.
Absolutely.
Because when you drive through Illinois, there's a lot of farmland. You drive miles and miles.
We have over 33 million acres of farmland in Illinois.
And their little house sitting out there, and they got all that land and making all that money.
But it's not. A lot of these farms aren't black owned.
They're not.
It's only about 18 black farmers in the state of Illinois, out of about 70,000 farmers.
That is ridiculous.
There are 18 black farmers in Illinois.
The only ones I know
of, they're not producing volume.
The only ones I know of are out there in Pembroke.
But and there's more down south, in downstate. But they're not producing volume. They're not producing volume in a way that is sustainable for us. But if they don't have an outlet like our store, in order to grow, and grow with us, so the more stores we have, the more they can grow, the more land they can buy, the more they can produce, the more, one hand wash the other, both hands wash the face.
Well, I hope once you establish that relationship, they will maintain a commitment to you. Because you know how we do. Like I said, you can't just always work for the money.
But and the money will come.
That's right.
And if you're good at what you do and you're showing your family that it's profitable, and they'll keep it up. They'll keep it going. And it'll last generations. Because they see that there's an end result.
But if they see you sitting on that land and you're not making no money,
and you crying about how hard and laborious it is, and nobody has any money to do anything,
and when you're gone, they're gonna sell it.
It's gonna come,
and somebody else will make it. Or would you have some closing remarks, Ena?
Support. We looking forward to supporting the community. We do have a GoFundMe up, to raise more money for our second location.
What is your GoFundMe? Your GoFundMe?
It's Roots and Vine Produce and Cafe, and it's help farmers open stores, help farmers open grocery stores and create brands. So we launched that about a week or so ago after we got denied the grant opportunity for the city of Chicago, so that we can start working on store number 2 and create the ecosystem for that volume we want to have. But I'm thankful to be here. I'm glad that podcasts like this exist and being able to reach more people. I'm definitely going to visit that bookstore today or tomorrow,
Okay.
and so that I can support them because I'm an avid book reader. So I'm thankful to be here and I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Well, family, we have been talking to Ena Jones, who is the proprietor of Woods and Vine Produce Cafe.
Yes, ma'am.
And they will be opening up soon, a full service grocery store. And we just had a wonderful conversation about what it's like to have a grocery store and what's all involved in developing a grocery store and just developing a business. There's lots of things that we need to think about. And so I want to thank you for the information that you imparted. And again, I'm wishing you lots of luck. And again, remember, go to rrgbc.org where you can subscribe and become a possible winner of our book of the month, Black AF History, Unwhitewashed Story of America by Michael Harriot. And this book was recommended by our bookstore of the month, The Book Joint, located at 330 East 51st Street. Please pay them a visit. It's a cute little store.
Yeah.
And you can sit in there and you can read, or you can purchase some books. And there's some other little black bookstores, the little black businesses around her. Verlene, she is the owner. And sometimes they even have book clubs, you know.
Okay,
and so they do a lot of things, great things in the community. And you can also go to our website. We do have a donation page where you could donate and help us to continue the work that we're doing. Our organization, we're not in this to make money. We're in this to help enhance the awareness and support of Black businesses. That's what we're about. But you can donate to our organization. We have another page where we have some items that you could purchase that would help us in our efforts. But again, I want to say to you, support Black businesses. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to end the recording. Here we go.